What's up, fellow citizens, and welcome to the 15-Minute Gamer channel. My name is Tony, and today we're going to do a bit of a post-mortem on the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, which ends today. Started on November 20th, so it ran for 2 weeks, and you could see loads of ships, see what's up and coming, fly them, you could play the game for free, and I'm going to look at the best, the worst, what I liked, what I didn't like, how we all wish that Whiteley's guide was real, and his videos were actually happening inside the game, and we're just going to discuss how it went, a bit about me fleet, that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. So we're going to start off with technical issues. Now, during Free Flight last time, which was in May, I had so many issues. I had to reset my character every time I logged in. Most of the time I couldn't get logged in. I lost all my ships, my armor, my body disappeared half the time. I was headless. Oh my god, the amount of issues I had was ridiculous last time. However, this one went a lot smoother. The website went down for the first hour or two of the expo. You couldn't get into the game or website. After that, I didn't notice any further technical issues in the sense of logging in, character progression, standing up, moving around. I wasn't headless. I didn't lose my body at all. There was a couple of times where it took a while to go in, but I didn't lose my body at all. So it seemed like they got that server side a lot better this time, especially with the increased numbers. At first, I was like, oh, you've done it again, RSI. You've done it again. And you know what? No, it was fine after that first hour or two. However, saying that, there was one very annoying problem that went throughout the expo, and I only experienced this on day 1 or 2, but I saw people complaining quite a lot about it, and that was the elevators inside of New Babbage. So what would happen is quite regularly you would go up to the escalators there, that would have been easier. The elevators, and they just either wouldn't come, they would stop halfway. So there was a couple of times there was 4 of us in one, and they just totally stopped working. And these were the elevators towards the spaceport, so the ones getting you from the train upwards. And I ran into these problems maybe 7-8 times, I would say. It didn't continue much past day 2 or 3. After that, it seemed to be all right, but I did see people complaining about it. I gave up once and just went back to the commons and just got into one of my drivable vehicles and just drove all the way across the ice lake, which took bloody ages. There was the community stepping up for each other, which was great to see. They were offering taxi rides to each other. There was things going on. They were talking, chatting, and I quite liked that. It was nice to see the community pull together for this common annoying issue. Again, though, guys, and it's one thing that annoyed me, these are new players getting introduced to this game, and you can't even get the elevators working. And I know, obviously, there was probably some sort of back end, and you got it working, but again, it didn't set the right tone for it. Outside of the elevators not working, I fell through the world once. I had a ship unable to leave once, and also I couldn't get any ships for a period of time. I had to log out and change servers, just none of the ships would spawn. Outside that, technical-wise, that was about it. So it wasn't that bad. A lot better than last time, to say the least. And the last time was my first ever one, the one in May. I'd never attended one before, so see all them problems last time was really frustrating for me, especially when I'm getting into it, trying to show this game off to friends, YouTube, and also spending money. And you're like, I kind of want that chip, but I can't play the game. Why would I give you £100? And it kind of does tarnish that, if you kind of see where I'm coming from on there. So yeah, no, well done to RSI. Much better than last time, which is a good thing. Let's talk about New Babbage and the expo itself. It was this time really well signposted again. Last time in May, it wasn't. This time there was signposted arrows everywhere pointing in the right directions. There was announcements going on. It was easy to find. It was, yeah, a lot better than last time. So yeah, kudos to whoever designed that. Moving on into the Expo Hall and around. Personally, I liked the colours, the aesthetics, the little diorama things we had. You know, our little scenes downstairs normally with like the Ursa rovers on and stuff like that. I thought they were pretty well done. I thought the space was very badly utilised. I think, yeah, it looked, I mean, when you had the reclaimer sitting in there, it looked absolutely like, you know, it took up so much room. But then some days where you had the smaller manufacturers in, or ships that weren't quite as big, especially say the alien ones, the place just looked empty. The NPCs, there wasn't that many NPCs knocking about. There wasn't that many players knocking about. Like, I didn't see hundreds of people running around. I know you can't get hundreds, but 50 people running around. The NPCs, you were talking a handful dotted around the place, and it kind of just always felt empty to me. Like, you could almost hear a pin drop, that echo. The distance between the other areas as well, so you were going off to Hall 102 to go and look at some more ships, that distance was quite far, and I don't think you got much from it. So for me, the size, I think it could have been done with maybe brought down a little bit, things brought in more. I would have been happy if all the ships were just in one big room that looked awesome, rather than 2 or 3 rooms with a huge empty space. Downstairs, you had the holo projectors and usually ground vehicles. Down there, again, I think that was a better use of space. I liked the holograms. I liked being able to see and read. And also, that was very good upstairs as well, was just a little bit of information about the ship, what it does. You could just walk up and rent it, have a wander around. There was modules and weapons dotted around the side, which was good, but you couldn't rent them. And also, it was hard to find a bit of information on some of them as well. I think it would be nice if they were beside the ship, so it kind of went, oh, look, you could upgrade the weapons to this, and kind of show them off from there. The final day, Best in Show, looked very empty. Downstairs just had armor. It just didn't look very good, but the Best in Show skins were quite nice. We'll come back to them later on. So yeah, overall, I thought the aesthetics were alright. The look of it was alright, quite nice in part. Just a bit too big of a space for me, so I hope next time they kind of tone that down a little bit and make the space fit what they've got to show, because you could have got so much more in there and made it look a lot fuller and busier and better in my eyes. Right, next we're going to talk about Whiteley's Guide. If you don't know this guy, he's basically kind of like a knockoff Jeremy Clarkson. He's got his jeans on, his leather jacket. And the whole point is, before it started, he was there to kind of show you around, have a bit of a laugh, sort of join in. Unfortunately, them presentations which he did made the hall and the experience just look so much better than it actually was. And some of the things that stood out for me was on one of them, which was called Run for the Stars. They showed off the Hercules inside the Expo Hall. That never happened. And it was kind of like, oh, okay. And just seeing it inside there shows that they must have it somewhere, or they must at least have it in grey box or something that they could have put in there. So that was very disappointing. There was also, if you have a look at the video for Exotica, which, no, that's not rude, that's the alien one, they showed the Prowler. Underneath the Prowler was a couple of guys standing there with guns. There was little display boards with pictures on. There was cool lighting effects, and it just looked awesome. It looked really cool. Of course, when you get into it, there's a couple of NPCs floating around and none of that. And again, it's just a little bit disappointing that I know they're done for marketing, but they could have spoke, because the areas just didn't look the same. Also, they did show the Perseus, which everyone is obviously mad about. They showed bits of it, like the guy Whiteley just sort of walking around behind this curtain with like RSI logos on. And again, how cool would that have been to see inside the Expo Hall, even if it was totally closed off, just to have that little area. They had a bounty hunter during the Origin one. Again, wouldn't it have been cool? Just had that bounty hunter walking around, or at certain times of day, you would appear or something. There was just something a little bit more, kind of like when we had the Free Fly event back in May. Just when the things showed up, fireworks we could have done with something like that. I think it would have looked absolutely awesome. I've included some of the clips as I've been talking. Right, now that we've covered the good, the bad, and to me some of the ugly, let's talk about the ships, what we saw, what I liked and what I didn't like, and what I bought. So as I said, the event ran from November 20th to December 2nd, which is today, so it all ends today. November 20th was day one, and it kicked off with Consolidated Outland, Argo, and Industrial Greycat, We saw the Consolidated Pioneer and the Argo SRV in the holosuite, all the rest of the ones we know about. We also got introduced to the Nomad for the first time. I took it out, gave it a bit of a fly, tested it, did a video on it. You can check the video I'll put a link in the description if I remember. The Nomad is kind of it says a more advanced starter ship. It's all right. I don't really see it fitting much purpose. It's kind of just like a pickup truck. It's not got much cargo space. It's got a little bit more. It's only a little bit cheaper than the Cutty Black. And to be fair, I'd rather Cutty Black. I know a lot of people aren't fans of the Cutty Black, but I like it. It fits so many purposes. It's got really good weapons, good cargo space. You can carry vehicles in it. You know, the Nomad, yes, you can fit them on, but they're a bit wobbly. Plus, with that exposed cargo bay, not a huge fan. I do like the inside of it. I think it looks quite nice. But on top of that, wasn't a huge fan. November 22nd was Aegis. And we got introduced on here to the Aegis Redeemer, Vulcan, and Nautilus. I think that's how you pronounce it. I purchased the Redeemer. I've added that to my fleet. You also got a Valkyrie as a kind of loaner ship. I was happy with that. I was like, yeah, of course I want a Valkyrie. I love a Valkyrie. I've always wanted one for ages. So yeah, the Redeemer's a gunship. Very excited for that. In that one, typically Aegis. I like a lot of the Aegis things, to be fair. You know, I love the Hammerheads. I love the Valkyrie. I love the Avengers. The Eclipse is still one of my favorite ships. Everything they do, I just love. So I was quite happy with that presentation, that show of space. I liked it. And that Reclaimer at the front of the Expo Hall as you walk in. How big is that ship? It is unreal. Also, I've got Retaliator in my backup. I've got the Sabre as a backup. I got the Sentinel in game. I think Aegis are really good. And the switch rate to Aegis Combat Assistance, whatever it says. Really like it. Moving on to November 22nd, it was the time of Anvil Aerospace. So they showed off what they've got. The newest ship coming up was the Anvil Crucible. This one, obviously, the Carrack was probably the main one in the main area. I like Anvil. They make cool ships. I would love a Carrack. I think, for me, it's kind of on them ultimate. If I had a multi-crew, I would do it. I love the Pisces. The Arrow's still one of my favorite light fighters. The Hornets are always pointless in my eyes. I don't think any of them do particularly great. Same as the Gladiator, pretty pointless. The Hawk, I've never liked. Hurricane, again, if I was multi-crew, I would like it. The Terrapin looks cool. And the Valkyrie, again, it just reminds me of Black Hawk helicopter. It is really cool. And I'm so glad I've got one as a loaner. It just sounds amazing. November 23rd, we moved on to Crusader Industries. This is where we introduced to the Mercury Star Runner, and everyone bought one, of course, because everyone wanted the Mercury Star Runner. It's one of the best ships in the game. I think it fits that multi-role across multiple platforms. You can do anything in it. You can take your mining, go down and do some mining. You can fly around at good speeds. They've also fixed the fuel usage, which is just fantastic, so I'm super happy about that. And yeah, I wanted this ship as soon as I saw it. And they also showed the Crusader Ares and Ion, the A2, C2, M2, and Starliner. The Hercules variant, I think, is going to be a really good addition to the game. I'm really excited for the C2. I said it showed you in the Whiteley's guide. And I think everyone's like, yes, we're going to see it. And no, you didn't. So yeah, it's all the things they kind of showed off. Again, very good small show, I suppose. Because really, there's not much going on with Crusader. Tumble obviously just make vehicles, and so did Kruger. So there wasn't much going on inside that show. I've got the Tumbril for driving around in, and you had the two Krugers at the front, which are just stub fighters. They're all right. November 25th, we move on to Misk. Everyone loves a Misk. And I think everyone's ordered one of the Freelancers at some point. They showed off the Misk Endeavour and the whole A, B, C, D, and E you could pre-order. I pre-ordered the C, I think it was, and you got a Caterpillar as a loaner ship. I was like, I kind of want to get a Caterpillar again, but I do like the look of the Hull C. I think it was like the Hull C or D, so yeah, I picked that up. They also had obviously all the usual, you know, the Freelancers, the Freelancer. I quite like the Freelancer range. I think they're a really good ship, and if I was starting off in the verse again, Freelancer's probably where I would be at. The Prospector, I've picked one up in game. The Reliant series, I'm not a huge fan of. I know people do like them. They're kind of a middle, you know, ground Starter ship, I'm not a huge fan of them. And then you got Starfarers as well, which again, just sitting in the front of that hole, just looked massive. 25th was Drake. Everyone loves a Drake as well. I think they're kind of like the Misk to me. They just fit so many roles. So, of course, the book, and yeah, Cutlass Black, Blue. Cutlass Purple was in Whitey's Guide, which was quite funny. Had disco light on it. And future flyable were the Drake Corsair and Drake a Vulture. I have a Corsair in buyback pledges. One day I might use it. Unfortunately, there's just not much in the game that I would use it for at the moment. So, not something I did. I love the Cutty series. It's always one of my favourites. And I picked up the Caterpillar during there because I got rid of my Caterpillar a while ago and regret it hugely. Because you can't do much without a Caterpillar in this game to make lots of money. And I like making lots of money. The 26th was Alien Day. So Alien Day, obviously you could look at the... I never know how to pronounce it. The Yopoa, the Banu, and the Espia. We saw New Wise. We saw the Espria, Talon, and Shrike, which come out in 3.12. The Banu Merchantman, which I know a lot of people go mad for. And their Pure Sentok Kayai. I don't know how you pronounce it. Something like that. I love the Banu. I think it looks amazing. Again, this is one of these examples though where the hull just looked massive because none of these ships are very big. The Prowler was sort of center stage. Again, love it. I hate the alien tax. Talk about it in video when I made the video. Can't stand it. I just think it's such a stupid thing to do to make these ships that can't compete just super expensive. They should be way cheaper, but you know. November 27th, which was day 8, was Origin, and interestingly enough, the day they made the least amount of money. They made almost half, I think it was just over half what they made the day beforehand. I just don't think Origin's very exciting. Their ships are just, I don't know. Yeah, they look good, and we can never disagree. Who wouldn't want an 890 jump? But I don't know. I don't think they serve much purpose. And they've just announced that the 400i is coming up in the next, well, data miners have found it. Another ship nobody's going to get excited about. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, that was Origin Day and the worst day, I think, for Star Citizen. As long as I could tell, they just didn't make anywhere near as much money on that. November 28th and day 9, which was the final day of it in some senses before it moved into Best in Show, was RSI, and everyone went mad for the Perseus. Everyone bought that. My good God. I've never seen a ship so popular, I don't think. They made so much money that day as well. It's kind of a Corvette. It looks amazing. It's something I might melt all my fleet for in the future. Maybe. But yeah, it's also got one of my favorite looking ships, which is the Mantis. It's just such a shame it's so useless. Just because it looks like a Star Trek vessel, and I love the look of it. But they also showed off, obviously, the Perseus, the RSI Apollo, Taurus, Polaris, and Orion. And they also made the most money on this day at over 3 million, believe it or not. So yeah, very good day for them on RSI. The actual current RSI lineup isn't particularly exciting. You know, you've got the Auroras, which are the starter ships. You've got the Connies, which just need some love. Like the Phoenix, you've got this really cool VIP area, and then this horrible front end just doesn't make any sense. The Mantis, which again, I love the look of, but useless. And the Ursa Rover, there wasn't much going on, to be fair. But the Connies, always going to be a bit of a favourite. And then Best in Show, which was the end of the show, which went on for a couple of days. And this was from the competition that was run a few months ago. And it was between basically the Anvil Carrack 1, and there was also the Eclipse, the Cutty Black, and the Valkyrie were the 4 finalists. And if you bought them, you got special Best in Show skin. And then you could kind of show it off to your friends and be like, look at mine, it's all white and stuff. I don't know what the point of a white Eclipse was. I was like, I'm sure the whole point is supposed to be black and stealthy, but never mind. That day was all right. It was just the one hole. And then you went downstairs and there was some armors. I did a recording on it and then was just like, there's nothing to show here. So I just stopped the recording halfway through and was like, yeah, I'm going to leave that one there. But a nice little rounding off, and you could rent all of them, and there was some rental panels there, and you could just click on rent. And yeah, it's going to be basically ended by the time this video goes up, and that'll be it until May when the next one happens. I'm hoping there's an event in between there. especially with like CitizenCon and stuff not going ahead this year. I would have liked to seen hopefully something towards, maybe April, March, February sort of time would be nice, just as a bit of a middle guide. And that is it. That's got sort of my post-mortem on the expo. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think it's nice to have these sort of events in game. I want to see more of them. Cool to see all the ships and some of the new ones that are upcoming. Seeing the community get excited. Seeing the community work together when the elevators were failing. Super cool. I really enjoyed just listening to the chat and sort of engaging with them and people giving people lifts. I thought it was set out very nice. It was signposted well, handled well. The servers stayed up. Lots of people got involved with the game from what I can see. I didn't think the space was particularly used very well. I think it had been used a lot better. And I would have liked to seen a few more ships shown off as well. I said maybe like the Hercules and stuff. Even if it was like a portion or a section or an offcut or just something else, just to kind of go, here it is, just have a little bit of a look and people go, wow. Especially like white. And I would like seeing the displays and areas just have a bit more to them, like in Whiteley's guides and stuff like that. But apart from that, overall, enjoyed it. And thank you very much for listening. And I'll catch you all on the next video. Goodbye.